laughing and like laughing probably one of the best indicators of how loud.
100%.
Because laughs are loud.
Loud.
So I
Especially they're unexpected.
Yeah.
So like you can expect when you're going to talk loud, you know, because you're thinking about it.
Sure.
Or like a random like ha! Moment, and if you're just sitting right here and it's like popping,
That laugh made me
ha! Oh God,
such a fake sounding laugh.
unpredictability.
Claudio,
Yeah.
welcome back.
Thanks for
5
having
years.
me.
We had some fun times.
We did.
Like recording a record in the tundra on Super Bowl Sunday.
Tundra.
While maybe a week later, a crazy music video is being made in my backyard. Some guy gets set on fire. We watched
my
that.
God.
Remember that?
Yeah. That was insane.
So that what you experienced in my life, it was like what my life was like.
That's crazy.
And that's another reason why I had to move. I was like, I need to like simmer down because I'm gonna have some problems if I keep living like this.
that was an insane. That was like a 4-month period of just like hijinks and things just happening.
Chaos.
Yeah, just absolute
You
chaos.
stayed the night a couple times, I think.
Yeah, a few times.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How's Curtis doing?
He's great. He's in Spain right now.
Oh,
Yeah,
sounds like he's doing
touring,
great.
Yeah, he's touring the world with a Latin artist named Danny Ocean.
Not
Frank Ocean,
or Danny Elfman.
and not Danny Elfman.
Danny
Ocean.
If Frank Ocean and Danny Elfman had a baby, it'd be Danny
I
Ocean.
think it would be. It would have to be Danny Ocean. Yeah, and
Or-
sonically, it's right on the mark.
For those music
Yeah.
nerds out there, you're probably right there with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were really fun times.
Oh, man.
So Curtis was when you would like poke fun at him, the funniest stuff.
Oh.
His laugh.
Oh my God. And my biggest regret of that time is that I didn't finish that series that I was doing.
Oh yeah, you were filming some stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, can I use your camera tonight? You're like, yeah, that's when I'm going to bed. I was like, okay, cool. And I'll just like dump the footage and just took the footage. But the best part in every episode was sneaking up on Curtis. He would just be like sitting, like taking a nap. And then I'd just sneak up behind him with the camera and be like, hey. And he'd turn and be like,
He gets so like
he's so upset. That was the best. He's going
That
to
was-
love that we're talking about this.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
That was really funny. That was
Yeah.
really good times.
Yeah.
That's what I miss about that house in Hickory Hills, because this new location for those listening is in Chicago. But the old house was like no rules, no
None.
guidelines. The city isn't going to stop you. No one's going to do anything. Hence why Music Festival happened and epic shows. But like it came with a sense of like self-governance, and it was just fun. Like, yeah, again, we're making an album in the basement, and then outside I'm having another friend group make a music video, and a man is literally being set on fire. They had professional stuntmen
Insane.
come up from Atlanta, I believe. They put the special goo on them, the fire retardant stuff. I don't know what it is.
It was crazy.
And he's on fire, and we're just taking like a break. And that's our break.
Yeah. We like looked outside. We're like, what is happening outside? Also, I think it should be noted, you lived in like the woods.
Yeah.
Like, there were like a bunch of trees and other things that are very flammable back there. And they were just like, yeah, we need the shot.
We got to set someone on
Got to
fire.
have the shot. And they had a whole crew. It was very professional.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even let us stand. You're like, this is my house. Can I get close? They're like, absolutely not. Like, stand 50 feet away.
I was like,
please.
I've blown up and set many things on fire. Let me get. Can I light the guy?
You're
I
like,
want to be
just
the
in
one who
case
lights
my
him.
house catches fire, I like to be close to, yeah.
My
That was
favorite
insane.
part was when they asked if they could do it. And I was like, yes, but I want some paperwork that I could sign that you are
Yes.
not suing me.
Yes.
And they did, but I was like, of course. I've always wanted to set somebody on fire in my backyard. I don't
every
got to go
kid's
anywhere.
dream.
I
Yeah.
don't have to go to Universal Studios or something. Like, let's
Right.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was some fun stuff. And then obviously, yeah, you played 5 years ago at the fest. I
5
can't
years
believe it
ago.
was 5 years ago.
5 years ago.
2018. Wow. Right here.
Yeah.
There you are.
Literally
There you are.
Smack dab in the middle. Yeah.
There.
It's
Look at
crazy.
that.
And when I think
Crazy.
back, like, it was, we talked about this earlier off pod, but you spent 10 years doing this, and we were talking about like the gambles and the risks involved, right?
Yeah.
And how we don't always see like the fruits of our labor.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the things you could take away is like you give chances to people and you give opportunities to people that haven't necessarily like grinded for it or what have you. You see something in people and you're like, you know what? I think they deserve a chance.
Yeah.
Right? Like looking at the other bands and experiencing the other bands there, I'm like, damn, I stuck out like a sore thumb, in my opinion, just because I wasn't where they were in terms of musicality, in terms of live performance, in terms of, they had 5-piece bands. I tried doing a trio. It's the first time doing any of those songs with a trio. And I remember coming off stage immediately and you're like, good job. And I was like, I didn't like it. I was like, those songs weren't meant to be a 3-piece. You were like, it was a little weird, but it was okay. You did good.
Yeah.
But like that experience is what catapulted me to like work a lot harder.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Really?
because it was like I want to play more of these festivals, and it was like I felt ill prepared. I felt ill prepared. I felt like not nervous, but like that I didn't belong on. You know, I had like imposter syndrome almost for a moment, because everyone else like was in the scene and they were like so comfortable, and people were like flocking to their stages, and it was like they got something, they have something about their live performance. And so I went back to the drawing board, like the Wile E. Coyote, and was like, I got to figure this out.
Did you figure it out?
I think I figured it out. Yeah, I've been like, I've definitely found my performance style, and like been performing with full bands and stuff since. But point being, look at how many names are on your wall.
Yeah, there's
like,
a lot of names.
A lot of these names have difficulty booking other places, and you put them on a big stage at a festival. Like, that's insane, you know? And like some of these names, like Beach Bunny has blown up. They played on late night TV. Like they, you know, they're famous now.
Very famous.
They're famous.
Yeah. They're like millions upon millions, hundreds of millions of streams. I think they're almost somewhat like 1 billion on Spotify, which is like,
insane.
That's international
Yeah,
fame.
it's insane. That's fame. That's actual fame.
You're living off.
You're not like
of
a popular band. Like that. You're famous.
They sell out everywhere they play.
Yes.
Pretty crazy. I know and it happened right after that.
Immediately.
Like their EP came out right after that, and just boom.
Yeah.
Like
2020 is when they were on Kimmel, I think, or or Fallon.
They've done
or
Fallon and Kimmel.
Yeah.
I think they've done Coachella, Bonnaroo, Lollapalooza, Riot Fest. They've done it all.
Yeah.
Been all over the world. I remember her first show was at the Ashbury Coffee Shop by my house, and my friends opened up for her. My friend's band that I got going at my house, Hype. They played, I think, one of these years.
I know. I saw the name on one of these. Yeah.
Yeah. So they opened up for her, or she opened up for them, and it's just so interesting to see that trajectory, like of that small coffee shop, a couple things, then they played this, and then just huge,
dude. And again, that's. You have a bit of that responsibility.
Yeah,
you facilitated, you provided a platform.
I know, I had no idea.
You know, like you're part of history. Like a lot of these bands will play for a very long time, and they're always going to think fondly of that experience. I played a lot of shows where I'm like, God, that promoter, or God, that engineer, or God, that whatever. Every single piece of what you did for 10 years was so well thought out, was done with such kindness and love and passion for art. The entire thing was like. You're like, honestly, like if people came and they're like, I really want to go, but I don't have, you're like, it's fine. Come on. Like,
it was donation only. Up until the last 2 years, I was like, all right, $20.
Yeah.
And even then, like it was, sometimes you had to let somebody in. But the first 8 years, it was just like whatever you could.
Nobody's doing that.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing that.
Yeah.
And it's not like that's going to be something that is eventually done because we're just becoming more capitalist in terms of music. But like, yeah, it's just truly like legendary. It's legendary. Wow. It's legendary stuff, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That means a lot.
Yeah.
It does, especially from someone who isn't from Chicago. You're from Kenosha, Wisconsin. Go Kenosha. Do they have a slogan, catchphrase, tag?
Their thing is Kenowhere, which is kind of like self-deprecating. So I don't like to
go Kenowhere.
Yeah.
And then you have obviously been around and played shows in the Midwest, but then you go to LA. You took a big risk.
Yeah.
And to have that juxtaposed now on that experience and 5 years, 6 years of doing this, actually been playing for what, 10, 12 years?
Yeah, I mean, I had a band in high school, so I've been like producing my own concerts and shows and stuff since I was like 16, 17, so
14, 15 years.
Long time.
Half your life.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at is to hear you say that, and you hear people say that, but it's just like, when it's just life, when you're just like, they don't see the bank statements and the credit cards and the PayPal and student loans and all of it, and the hustle, the thousands of emails, the pouring over Sweetwater and Zounds carts of gear to buy, and all of the nights of trying to figure out what to do and how to grow it. But to hear that, it makes, what I'm saying is all that stress, what you just said, what individuals have said like yourself, makes it worth it. Makes it go like, okay, maybe all that struggle and investment and gamble was for what's to come next.
Yeah, 100%.
That's that documentary we made last year, and what we're going to work on this summer captured all of this, captured the essence of what you just said. And we're going to try to use it to grow what I do and hopefully come back. And when we come back in the city in 2024, that's the goal, the city of Chicago. It's not to have some big like festival like the ones we were talking about, Coachella. Those are like fairgrounds meets a corporation.
Yeah.
I mean, they're epic. Those are billion-dollar festivals, if not
Easy.
more.
Big money just sees like a lot of land.
Yeah.
And they go like, money.
Money. I mean, there's no way the event promoters and directors of that have like my background, like, are like artists, musicians, and like slept in closets
No,
and
it's like
tents and
Coca-Cola.
cabins. Yeah,
They're like, yeah,
exactly.
we'll put up $400 million for this.
Yeah, this is nothing to them.
Yeah.
They just want to make more money.
Mm-hmm.
So the goal is to do a bigger fest, but do it exactly like that. Just more safety nets.
Yeah.
Insurance, not risking everything. More water-resistant and waterproof situation. So if it does drizzle, does rain, we're okay. Better porta potty situations. Just better water situation. All that stuff. How I did it, just more professional, and better, and just safer, and still bringing up the community. Still focusing on all the local bands, and maybe one or two decently known hitters, big hitters. But then the other 36, 38 bands like up and comers.
Yeah.
A bunch of up and comers, people who are just really great. And the reason why I started doing that was one, out of necessity. You can only get so many people to play your fest when you first start out.
Right.
But then I started to like it when I could have had more opportunities to get bigger bands. I started liking the fact that after, and you can relate to this, after listening to so many bands across the spectrum of style, quality, and how long they've been in the game, you realize that, like, yeah, the big bands are great. Frank Ocean, Jennifer Lopez, Kanye West, like big names. They're great and they're talented. But there's so many people underneath that pyramid. Like, they're at the top that build the foundation. They're amazing. Bands and musicians like yourself, like myself, like our friends, people we hang out with every night, the people we collaborate with. There's so many more of them, and they're all really good. There's only so much room at the top. And that's any industry. There's only so much there's only so many Leonardo DiCaprios and Brad Pitts. You can't all be that.
Yep.
You're not going to have that many of them. So instead of just trying to go to the point of like big names and selling it, I'm like, why not just have a bunch of really great music? All these cross styles, genres, and worlds and music scenes that no one ever dares to step out of. Because it's frightening to be like, how are we going to work with a mariachi band, an EDM band, a folk band, an old time band, a sonic youth punk rock experimental sounding band, and then like a rock, like a rock band that just sounds like the Mars Volta or what are they called? I'm trying to think of a really big rock band like
Zeppelin, like classic
Zeppelin,
rock band,
yeah, just a big band. Like, how do you make these all go together? It's like, just do it. And there is a little bit of a madness to the formula. It's kind of like you got to figure out how the day flows. What time of day are we at? I remember, like, you're such a great golden hour sunset sound. Where you were. That's why I had you play at that time. It's like, you wouldn't have made sense at noon or 2, and you wouldn't have made sense at 10, given where you were, you know. But like 7:30 is perfect.
Yeah.
Everyone's calming down to go get dinner, drink some drinks, sit in the grass while it's still like a little sunny out but not too hot. Perfect.
Yeah.
And like that type of skill set is where I learned how to choreograph essentially this beautiful, eloquent dance. It is a dance.
Yeah.
It
is.
Like
you're doing the role. You're doing so much. You're wearing all the hats, right?
Yeah.
So like you're obviously trying to promote this so that people can be here to experience it.
Yeah.
But you're also trying to curate. So you're curating. You're physically building the sets,
building everything. Yeah. All the tents, all the stages.
Like, exactly. So like this is all your blood, sweat, and tears. Your calloused hands. Like, this is like something that you can say that you physically built from the ground up.
Yeah.
And then also like just culturally, like, you built this from the ground up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of these bands passed through here to do your live sessions.
Yes, a lot.
Or they're friends of friends who just heard of you and were like, oh, I need to play band. You know what I mean? And you got submissions that you had to turn down because you're like, I only have 50 spots or whatever. You're like, I can't.
It happened as the years went on.
Yeah.
It happened so much more.
And that again shows you. I had this conversation a couple of days ago with a friend. We don't do this for validation. We don't do art for validation, right? However, when you don't have any, and there's no knowledge of if anything you're doing is landing or has significance, it's really hard to trudge along. It's really, really hard.
Yeah, it is.
It's discouraging.
Yeah.
So we just need moments where people don't have to say a word, but we need to see things. And if people do say things like earlier when I said, like, it's legendary, people talk about you in a legendary fashion. They're like, oh, dude runs Chicago. Like, he is Chicago music. Even if that doesn't get back around to you, I believe in, like, energy. And I think that energy is filling this area, and I think you feel that energy, especially at the day of the fest.
Oh yeah, definitely do.
Amidst the exhaustion and
and the Red Bulls and the cold brews.
Exactly.
And, no, you're right. Yeah, it's strange. Things are strange. Life's weird. It's like, because it's DZ Fest, DZ Records, Bending Brains podcast, because it's that, I get to, like, my name isn't attached to it.
Right.
People sometimes don't even know that. They're just like, DZ. They just, like,
DZ.
call me DZ.
Yeah.
So if I, like, go out, any show, any venue, and you just hear, like, DZ dude? I'm like, yeah. They're like, oh, what's up? Like, that happens a lot, and it's funny because I still get to have, like, this, like, my life. Like, I get to be like,
you're like a myth, dude.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, and you have such like a look to you too. So like they just like, they see your face and they see DZ and they're like, yeah, his name's D. I don't know what it stands. Derek's I don't know. It's DZ though. He's DZ. They're trying to like figure out the acronym.
Short circuiting in the brain. Just like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
That's funny. But thank you so much for your kind words and support.
Man.
That it means a lot, and I'm very humbled by it. And I just want to keep doing it. I want to keep just going for it and making it happen for other people. I love meeting artists and bands and musicians and different talents and comics. I mean, creativity, where it comes from, this mystical, mysterious formula that creates art. There's a saying I always will stick with, and I stand by it. It's, art is the lubrication of existence. You like it?
That's good. Yeah.
You need it. Like,
that's fantastic.
Like, we can have engineers who build these microphones all day, and we can have engineers who design these water bottles to withstand temperatures and stay cold for 24 hours, and these amazing engineers who come up with these phones and electricity in your walls, and construction engineers and civil engineers who design houses and bridges. Amazing. But every element of all of it has to do something creative. We love bridges because of the design of them. There's art to it. There's a craft. And those are usually the architects, or this weird bridge of, no pun intended, of technical and art combining. And it's the same thing like you. I want to get into you because doing acting, doing something like martial arts, doing something music, and even somewhat athletic activities. I think that's why people love athletes and sports. Something even like as different as like pool. Like you play pool.
Yeah.
There's a craft to it. There's an art to it. And it's not just like when people, maybe more like football or basketball, like, oh, a bunch of like meatheads. It's like, you ever watch these people do their thing? Like, they're like ballerinas out there. It's a dance.
Yeah.
If you like dance and choreography, which is its own art, that's what this is. They're just using strength to accomplish these goals. But if you get into the head, there's strategic planning. I do so much strategic planning. I'm like a strategist, like at my heart, to figure out how to do all this stuff. Like almost on my own, not fully on my own. I can never deny the help I've had, but like a lot of it I try to spearhead. You need to have the art. You can't just go with science. So I love science. I love technology. It's a big part of what I do. I teach in a department called creative technologies. We merge both worlds, but you need both worlds. It's not just about athletes and technologists and people in finance making all this money. It's like, what do all these people do with their lives? They consume art. They love art.
Yeah.
It's all around them. Their clothes, the guys who fund Coachella, it's all art. Yeah. So we need both. So to neglect both in the school systems and funding and community outreach, it frustrates me because it's almost like we're just lying to ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, it's like there should be more local community centers that have acting classes for people, and comedy, stand-up comedy available, and music shops, and people could donate instruments. Why don't these things, it's like the last thing. It's like, okay, let's make the big building that we could rent out, make a ton of money, and somewhat gentrify this area.
Right.
Let's build this new center where we can have big sports events, which is cool, but like, what about, again, the lubrication of existence?
Yeah, I think for off top, sports generates so much money. Like just the price of admission, the concessions, the jerseys, the this, the that, the this. It's a multi-trillion-dollar industry.
Huge.
Just American sports.
Yeah, all the sports together, yeah.
I can give you two contracts in sports from two players that add up to $1 billion. Two players in all professional sports.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's just the money that they're paying the players. Obviously, they're paying them what they can and still have a bunch of overhead, like all their overhead costs, what have you, and they're paying the players. That means they're grossing a ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah.
If they're paying one guy $500 million over the course of 10 years.
Yeah.
It's outrageous.
Yeah.
There's never going to be that money in music, unfortunately, because people don't appreciate the arts the same way. And I think it's because, building off what you just said, I think art is like time.
Mm-hmm.
You can find the art in anything. Everything has been created, everything that we're sitting around. Like, we look at this tile, we walk on it, and we think of it as just something to put on the ground so it doesn't look like concrete. Somebody took the time to design that, and that took a lot of time to think about how they wanted to sculpt the marble and so on and so forth.
color.
And how they were, exactly. There's art in every single thing in our existence if we choose to take the time to look for it. I think that's the poetry of it. But not a lot of people want to take the time. And that's why, if you look at like social media, everything's short form. Sports are short form. You get the satisfaction every time they make a shot. Satisfying.
Yeah.
Every time they score a touchdown, satisfying. Every time there's a play in football lasts like 8 seconds, maybe tops. There's a tackle, you get that moment to like decompress and relax, and then 8 seconds you're like on edge, and then you get to relax. It's this immediacy, this like on and off and on and off and on and off, instead of staying on for weeks on end to figure out why the architect decided to put 2 support beams. You know what I mean? But like, there's a very specific reason why he did, or they did, if you choose to take the time to like dissect it and think about it. It just takes time. Like, just art takes time, and I think a lot of people just want like, okay, next thing. You look at TikTok, the scrolling mechanism on that, like the algorithm. Like, we're going away from people sitting with things, sitting with their thoughts, sitting with like just people with no phones around and having a dinner.
Yeah.
You know, we're just moving further away from that. And the art that we like to make is art that has to be sat with. At least for me. Like, I like to make things that are going to make people think and feel and address things that they don't want to address otherwise. I like to think of my music as therapy for me and the listener.
Sure. Something thought-provoking.
Yes, you know? But I also consume a lot of stuff that's not thought-provoking, because I like to take a break. Yeah. You know? But I do my best to, like, even the stuff that I don't deem thought-provoking, I'm like, okay, so this has to exist for a reason. Let me try to find it. And I just try to dig deeper and try to find the art in the things that don't initially make me feel the way that, like, looking at a frickin' Michelangelo makes me feel. You know what I mean? Like, looking up and being like, wow. And just seeing all these little details. And looking at a sculpture and being like, what? Sculptures trip me out, dude. I'm like, how in the actual hell? There's so many things that I experience on a daily basis that make me be like, humans are remarkable. Like, absolutely remarkable. And then I go on TikTok.
TikTok is a cesspool. Like, oh, God. It's dangerous. I'm like, okay, I'm going to use it to promote bands, videos, art, podcasts, all that. And then I'm like, out. And yeah, it's a hard one. And the real thing now, it's Facebook, or I don't know what Facebook does, but Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. It is wild. It's a wild world. It's it's so misleading. And it's very, very, it's a pseudo, like, growth of, like, your experience and skill set. And I'm worried about people who, like, just blow up on it because they, like, were able to flip a water bottle 5 times and land on, like, a ring. Or a woman is just showing her body, which is, I don't actually have a problem with it. I really don't care what people do. I worry about them personally, like, because it accumulates, where it compounds over time. Like, as a society, like, not everyone is going to look like you. You're getting a lot of attention based on you didn't do anything. Maybe you eat well, like, that's it, but we all should. So you didn't really do anything. You didn't acquire a skill set or actually have to work for anything. And that can be dangerous when you don't acquire skills and work for something.
Well, I also think, like, a lot of these people that blow up on social media, they haven't been building skills necessary to handle fame.
Sure.
And notoriety and popularity. I see a ton of influencers that they get to that point and then they kind of get off social media. They're like, it got really bad. You guys started saying mean things to me. And it's like,
that's life.
That's kind of how, when you put yourself out there, you are susceptible to criticism.
Sure.
And a lot of these people aren't okay with criticism because they haven't had it, because they just now started being outside themselves and expressing and promoting themselves. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't, but, like, that's part of it. That's what you go through. And there's so many people that even I know that have blown up on social media and been like, they're in a position where they have, 1 million followers, and they're like, I'm probably done with it. And I'm like, why? You have this platform now. Like, I thought I wanted it. I didn't want it. Like, I don't want all the, and I'm like, okay.
You don't.
And that's why a single app, a phone app, is responsible for pop culture right now. The entirety of pop culture is decided by this one thing. Even Spotify is decided by this one thing. You have bands that are going multi-platinum because of this app. You have people that are being cast in movies because they posted skits on TikTok because of this app. You have people that are becoming world famous models because of this app. And those success stories are great. But then you have all these kids comparing. This 1% is expanding now. We used to be like 1% of actors make it to Hollywood. 1% of musicians make it to the Grammys and yada, yada, yada. Now it's like, no, if you posted, it could go viral and you could get there. Now people are becoming obsessed with going viral.
That 1%. In a weird way.
In a very weird way.
Yeah. Before you would move to Hollywood.
Yeah. Or you
grind for like 5, 10, 15 years.
And teach yourself guitar.
Like Barry. You watch Barry?
I actually haven't watched Barry
yet.
Check it out. I know.
Because the acting thing. What you just said reminded me of Barry.
Yeah, but like it's the time.
Yeah.
With the art.
Yeah.
To get better at doing the art.
Yeah.
You know? And it all depends on when you fell in love with it. I fell in love with it when I was very, very young. I'm very blessed to be someone that like knew what they needed to do from a very young age. Not everyone has that luxury, and I understand that.
Where'd you get that
so
from?
I give grace.
You think?
Man, I knew. So I listened to a bunch of music when I was a kid, but the first memory I have of listening to music, period, I was probably 4, right when my memory like kicked in, 4 or 5. My mom had the Apple Records anthology, the Beatles like 3-piece CD set, and we had a stereo in the living room. And so I would put it in and I would listen to it. And it's all like demos of all the stuff they did with Apple Records. And so the Blackbird on there is a demo version of Blackbird. I didn't know that there was an actual studio version of Blackbird until I was like 16. 'Cause it's the only version I knew.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so it's just Paul on the acoustic. And he's playing. And I remember listening to it. I had headphones plugged in. I was lying down next to the stereo. And I cried. Kids can't explain why. I didn't know what the words meant. I just cried. And I remember my mom came in and she was like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "Nothing." She's like, "What are you listening to?" I was like, and I like showed her the thing. And she's a huge Beatles fan, so she like sat with me. We took the headphones out, we listened. And I just fucking cried. Just sat and cried. And music affected me. But I didn't feel sad. It was like music overwhelmed me. Like what I was listening to touched me on like a atomic level and vibrated everything in my body, and the only thing I could do was cry. And I was like, I want to make people feel like that
way. Yeah,
you know.
Wow.
Not make them cry, move them, make them feel like they're alive.
Yeah,
because there are so many times throughout the day that I have to be like, am I still okay? Am I still alive? Am I breathing? Because like there's moments you go through and there's mundane, there's monotony, and you feel a little numb to things, right? You're like, we talked about that earlier, experiences, just experiencing life.
Yeah.
Not letting life pass you by. There's plenty of times we go by just as people where we're like, yeah, I wouldn't say that. I say that I'm alive. I don't know that I'm living right now. And I think art is like, again, art being a very vast term. Because like I said earlier, you can see the art in everything. But it's also the lubrication of existence. If it didn't exist, if creation didn't exist, and we were just told like, don't worry about why that thing's there, it's just there. Don't think any deeper about it. It just exists.
Yeah.
I think art is like the explanation of existence also.
Sure.
Right? The creation. If art and creation are one and the same, then we were created. There's a creator, so on and so forth. Whether you believe in God or just the universe, the Big Bang, things were created. That could also be, this is the art. Life is art.
Yeah.
Like it's just, you know,
yeah.
It imitates it, so on and so forth. There's so many like proverbs about art imitating life and life imitating art and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Because where do we get the inspiration for art? From experiences, from living our lives. And we take them and we twist them like crazy, like horror films with monsters. And how do those exist?
Yeah.
Those don't happen. That's not real.
Yeah.
So we're able to take real life and turn it into our imaginative brains kick in, and we're like, but what if it wasn't like a dog next door that you were afraid of? Or what if it was like a dude with knives on his hands? And we just take that and run with it, and it's crazy. And like
Freddy Krueger,
Freddy,
terrifying.
He's the best.
I mean, it's like really goofy movies, like the way Wes Craven made them. They're like funny.
Yeah.
But like the concept of like you are stuck in a dream, that's where you die.
Yeah.
You die in the dream.
Yeah.
Freaky stuff.
Yeah, and like, I could go on and on. Freddy's my favorite horror monster. But back to what I was saying, just about like time and art and so on and so forth. I think I just, my goal is always to like get people to sit and just go like, what aren't you facing right now? Because I just think we have roadblocks right now with our generation. Generations before had other diseases and disorders and so on and so forth. Our generation has like anxiety and depression.
It's the number one thing you hear about.
In all of us.
Yeah.
In all of us. And it's not just we're sad or we're depressed. It's depression. We do brains, like there's hormonal imbalances. There's chemical imbalances in a lot of us. And that's not going to get better if we're not facing the things that are triggering us.
Sure.
We're facing the things that are sending us to this depression and the things that are keeping us in this depression because we don't want to address it, because we don't want to burden somebody else, or we don't want to be vulnerable. So I just try to like, with what I do, the time that I'm taking, I don't know why I did air quotes, the time that I'm taking to create my things is like time that I'm sitting with myself to be as vulnerable as I possibly can, right? To make sure that you know it's okay if you feel these things too, right? And it scares a lot of people. Like it's finding my demographic has been like pulling teeth a little bit in terms of like, I'll show one song to somebody, they're like, I like that. And I'll show them a song about like that, about like perseverance and survival and survivor's guilt even. And they're like, it's just kind of like sad. It's like, it's not sad. It's heavy.
Yeah.
There's a weight to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
There's a difference.
But convincing someone to sit down and listen to stuff that might make them cry is, could be a tall task.
Yeah.
A tall task.
Yeah. Those types of songs, the music that invoke tears, people crying, makes people very uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable. Just crying makes people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I started crying a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was depressed for a very, very long time. And now I'm not. I still deal with depression, but I'm not currently in a depressive state, a manic depressive state. I haven't been for a minute. And I'm in a very healthy relationship, one that allows me to cry when I'm happy, when I'm sad, when I'm angry, when I'm hungry, whatever the hell,
Yeah.
Like we're conditioned creatures, and we're conditioned to not show extreme emotion from a very, very young age.
Especially men in America, at least.
Especially men in America.
Yeah.
It could be men everywhere. I'm just, as a man living in America, this is just the pattern that I've seen.
Yeah.
I'm sure this is like this everywhere else too for men. But yeah, it's like when we show our frustration, then we're just like angry dudes.
Instead of crying, you just you mix some alcohol with that, and someone who's got some actual depression, anxiety. It's those are the people who are like, why did that happen? Why'd they fight?
You're like, whoa, what? He kind of blew up. It's like, well, he's very sad, and he probably wants to cry.
Yes.
But he doesn't feel safe enough.
Probably wants
to
a
cry
hug,
right now.
a
Yes.
shoulder, a friend, and a tear, and probably should just drink some water. Like,
Yep.
that's probably what needs to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people like that.
I've been the friend who I say I love you to everybody. All my friends, before we leave. Leaving the bar, leaving their house, leaving wherever, leaving a lunch date,
like
whatever, hanging up the phone. All right, love you. I'll talk to you later. I love you too. Like sometimes they're like, very few times they don't say it back, but it's like, I read this thing the other day and it was like 12 hugs a day. It's like if you can give 12 hugs a day and receive 12 hugs a day, watch what happens to your dopamine and your serotonin.
That's a lot of hugs.
Seems like a lot.
Depends on what you do for a living. If you're a school teacher,
if you're a school teacher, you're hugging 12 kids.
Probably should not.
Let's not do that. Find 12 colleagues. Go to the gas station. Just like, I think the sentiment.
Clerk at the gas station. Can you open up the bulletproof
Hey man,
glass?
I just want to say thank you.
Let me.
But I think the sentiment was just like, we sort of like have been taught to like repel one another. Even when we show appreciation, it's like we give a fist to show appreciation. This is something that's supposed to like harm people.
Yeah, destructive.
It's like a powerful thing. And we're like, hey man, I really appreciate you. Instead of being like, hey dude, I really appreciate you.
Yeah.
Us holding you for a moment
Yeah.
is not weird. It's not going to hurt me. It's not going to hurt you. We're not going to get sick and die.
Yeah.
But it's going to make both of us feel like we connected to another human being today.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Something so small and sounds weird to a lot of people. I'm not saying make out with a stranger, but just like a hug, a pat on the back, or just like any sort of physical touch, embrace.
Mm-hmm.
They could be someone that like needs that.
There are some people that go
Needs
weeks
that.
or a month
Months.
without a hug. And you could tell.
You know?
Without much human interaction besides maybe like going off to work.
Yes.
And that's it.
And even then, sitting in a cubicle, the most interaction you get is someone touches the back of your chair, like, hey, did you get that done? Like, oh, yeah. You know? It's
yeah, I'm going to need those
by Saturday. We need you to come in on Saturday.
Yeah. No, you're correct. I think that's why people love their families and kids.
Yeah.
Like, my brother has a 18-month-year-old daughter, and how much hugging that he gets just from her or his wife now, like, just so much more hugging and touching and hugging, and like that probably adds to like this type of happiness that what they try to talk to people who don't have kids, and people who don't have kids always roll their eyes like, yeah, whatever, okay, I get to do whatever I want. So it's like, yeah, but now you're just living for some strange reason and you don't know why. You think you're living for something better, but now who knows why you're living? Because at the end of the day, we know the truth. Like, we're here to like make more babies. Like, that's kind of how everything works. Like, in order to get to this table being built and looking this way took millions of years of people making babies.
Generations.
Like, we need to do it. So that's why it's a calling for it. I get it, and that's different for everyone. I'm not saying you have to have kids, but like, don't deny that that's like, I'd say today's stats are very strange, but I'd say most over human history, 95% of people have kids at some point, at least one, or try to, you know?
The biggest reason of like people that I know that don't want to have kids, it's like, see the state of the world? I don't want to bring kids into this world. It's not, I don't want to have kids. It's, I don't want my kid to be a victim of the world.
Exactly. They still want to do it.
They still want to have kids.
And by the way, the answer to fixing the world is having kids, so they can grow up and fix it. Like, if you're 50, you might not be able to fix the world.
No.
Like, you might have missed that. Even I'm trying to fix it in my own way. I always say, just do what's relative to you. You know, you and I are not going to make the next technological advance that is a new algorithm that's good for something else.
Yeah.
But you might be able to change it with your art. You might touch people with your words. You might touch people with your acting. You might touch people if you do martial arts. You might touch people if you play pool and go to a championship, and you inspire little kids to do that too and follow. Like, you can do it in ways that works for you. You don't have to be some Elon Musk or John Rockefeller character. Like, those are very few people. There's literally, we can name them. There's not a lot of them.
Yeah.
So don't try to be that.
Exactly. And I think the other thing too is like, I'm in therapy, and we're talking a lot about ego. I've done a lot of work on my ego and pride, and I didn't realize how many areas of my life it was attached to, attached to. And I think for me, the biggest switch in terms of ego connected to my art was, I'm okay if I'm not the person to do the thing, but I can still be the person to inspire the person that could do the thing.
Sure.
Or inspire the person that's going to inspire the person that's going to inspire the person to do the thing. You know? Like, it's not about, it at one point in time, it was about me. For me. Now it's not. It's like, I'm just going to share the things that I want to share and hope that people are connected to it and it resonates with them and that it inspires them to do something positive. That's it. And I'm hands off. But I'm not going to, even the album that we worked on together, like, it was so about, I was so very proud of that piece, and I think that it still holds relevance to my life. However, my journey at that point was seeking the confirmation that I was who I thought I was. And that other people saw me how I saw myself. And one, impossible.
No, it's never going to happen.
Impossible.
Impossible.
So when I took that and was like, man, also, if I'm just going to, like, if I'm driving the car to a place, I'm going to get there, and then what? The satisfaction of getting there is great, but then I'm there. So what now? So there's no destination now for me. It's just expressing and sharing. And if something happens, cool. But like, I already feel like I've done the thing. I have conversations with friends that are like, dude, I did this because I saw you do something, and I was like, I want to try. And I'm like, cool, done. Box checked, done.
It's great, right?
I did the thing. And like, obviously I want to affect more people. However, it's like relinquishing your gift so that other people can pick it up and run with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think we all have gifts. Every single person on the planet has gifts to share.
Sure.
The brave people are the ones that decide to share them,
Mm-hmm.
right? But if you don't share that, if you don't step out to that edge and be brave and share it, then the people that aren't brave enough at the moment won't ever feel brave enough to do it.
Sure. Yeah. Do you think there's a sense of responsibility if you have that inclination, that drive? Like, how do you know? Because I never understood it. I just like, it was natural to be the one, to be the youngest to climb to the top of the tree.
Yeah.
Natural to be the one that would build the first treehouse that we could all sleep in. The DZ, the cabin that we can go be creative in. This festival, like, let's build stages.
Think about,
You know? I don't know why.
We just talked about kids.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think that that's genetic in any...
Probably.
way,
I mean,
shape,
I
or
learned a
form?
lot from my parents about that. And my grandpa was, I got inspired by him because he
Yeah.
took the risk to move out from Chicago and build a house in the suburbs and start a community there.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot from that.
Yeah.
How to just you can just do stuff. You could be your own
Yeah.
pioneer in your own way.
Yeah.
And then my parents are very open and inviting to people. Like, why I've always said, hey, you want to record? You guys stay the night? You got some
Yeah.
pizza? Sure,
It
stay the
was
night.
remarkable.
They were
Yeah.
the same way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny. It almost sounds like a form of child abuse, but it's not. My parents, I've been kicked out of my own room, not because I'm bad, so many times because they would give it to older people to stay
Wow.
the night. Missionaries, we had a lot of missionaries from around the world stay the night when I was a kid, from Africa, Australia, South America. And so they knew that I was comfortable with being uncomfortable, even at 5 years old. Like, Ben will sleep in the back. So I'm just this little kid to go build a tent, sleep in the back while I gave my bed up. And I just did it forever and ever and ever, and I still do it. You know, I tell my friend, my roommate now, like, oh, your parents are coming on? Do they want my bed? I'll just, like, sleep in the basement. Like,
Yeah.
what? I'm like, I don't know. They need it more than I do. They were like
Right.
60. I'm 33. I'll be okay.
Yeah.
You know, I'll
Yeah.
be fine. And it's just another experience. Now I know what this is like. It doesn't scare me. It kind of invites me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, the open door policy, like, Ben, get lost, figure it out. We got someone staying the night. So-and-so staying in your bed for a week from out of town. I mean, I'd have to give my bed up to my sister's friends who were visiting. And they're, like, not much older than me. But, like,
Yeah.
you know, maybe it was a young girl,
Yeah.
and she didn't want the young girl sleeping in a living room where other boys were at. Stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
So, like, Ben, go in the basement. Okay. So that constant being on my own and having autonomy and being very strong with that led to this confidence. Like, yeah, I could figure it out.
Yeah.
Not cockiness, just like, we could figure it out,
Yeah.
guys. Like, if you could think of it in your head, it is possible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you got some tools. This is wood. Build
Yeah.
some angles. Boom. You can do this thing. You're going to be good at it first? No. I don't think I got really good at what I was doing with the fest until, like, here. These two. Like, the first year, like, this combo was when I really honed in, and the rest just was, like, easy and got really good. But it took, like, 7 years.
Yeah.
It took, like,
Time.
Took time. A lot of time.
Art.
Yes.
Like, you know.
Yes.
You know?
It took a lot of time.
Yeah.
I was so bad at first. I mean, the circuit breakers would flip. I had to run to the house while band's playing and flip it. Sparks flying out. Stages are cracking. So I was like, next year, more supports in the middle. Then after that, instead of 3 beams, posts in the middle, add 5. I made the stages so strong you could park a car on top of them. By the end, by like here, they were like indestructible.
Yeah.
But I had to learn from like the stage caving and wiggling, and I'm like, oh no, please don't come down.
Yep.
Better ways to hook up tarps so if it does rain, they don't collapse. Like all these little things. It took years. And you just don't say anything. Don't let anybody know that you're failing.
No.
Just think, okay.
Well, because it's not failing.
It's not failing, just that you're
The-
trying.
Yeah, the failure would have been if you decided once the stage fell apart that you're done.
Yeah.
Because you're like, well,
third
this
year
is
in,
really
I'm
fucking hard.
done.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's failing.
Yeah.
That's failing.
That is failing. I agree. I do not. I've changed my optics on failure and obstacles. I say 100% of the time, obstacles are opportunities, and failure is just part of the journey. It's part of the process.
It's a lesson.
Yeah.
Like, if you consider failure to be like failure of self and spirit and not failure of the task, you can always go back and do the task again. Always. You don't get another spirit.
Yeah.
You don't get another soul. You don't get
No.
another body to do this in again.
Yeah.
So if this is unhappy with something and then you choose to not go at it again and do it till you get it, this is going to be dissonant. You're just going to have this, I said this the other day, spiritual dissonance.
Yeah.
Because half of you is going to be like, I really want to try it again. The other half is like, but we can't do it. We already found that out.
Sure. Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer, like if you spend enough time, it's going to happen. You're going to figure it out. Because if it's not going to happen the way you originally intended, we're creatures of adaptation. You're going to change your angle and you're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
I say figure it out a lot, and it stresses out a lot of people in my life. They're like,
What do you mean?
what do you want to do this weekend? I'm like, all right, we'll figure it out. They're like, I don't. So, okay, all right. So you want to get food then? I'm sure we'll be hungry at some point. Yeah, we could probably get some food. We'll figure it out. What are we figuring out? I'm like, it's Monday. I don't know how I'm gonna feel on Thursday.
Yeah.
Friday I could get a call, be like, you're going out of town, and then we made all these plans.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I have a loose plan thesis.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we're gonna hang out Saturday anytime after 5. Like, at least I know that.
Yeah.
I know I'm not gonna make another plan that day. But I love the like just loose plan, like, hey, you guys wanna get together Saturday? Sure. What do you wanna do? Let's just meet up at 5 at my place. I got some beer, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
I love that because it's like, I know I'm not going to be like floating all week, like stressing out, anxiety, like, what am I doing this weekend? I know I got something, but I love like that day of, let's go to that place. That burger place, let's go there. You want to go for a bike ride by the lake? Let's do that. Hey, dude, guess who's playing tonight at the Empty Bottle?
Right.
Let's go hit it up. After that, you want to go to the Whistler? It's open until 4 a.m.
Right.
We can go dancing and boom, boom, boom. And those days are always the most fun days of my life.
Because you're being present.
Being present the whole time.
I think that's ultimately what it is. Like, I like to be true to the moment, you know? And like, I have really bad anxiety that I deal with every day. And if we're planning, sometimes planning gives me fucking anxiety.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I know that I have to go to this party on Saturday night, and I worked all week, and I'm tired, and now I have the pressure of, you better wake up. Because you have to go to this party. You're going to this party, and you got to be the life of you got to be present. You got to be the life. You got to be dancing. You got to be. And now I'm anxious. Now I don't want to go.
But do you have to be the live party? Do you have to be dancing? Can you just hang out?
Anxiety, man.
Yeah.
And also, yeah, most places I do have to do that.
Why?
It's just the expectation that's been put on me. I
Of
think.
you?
Yeah.
Like that's just the guy.
I was told from a friend the other day. They were like, not the other day, it was like a month ago. They were like, the energy of the room is decided by your energy.
Oh, really?
And I was like, I don't want that anymore.
Yeah.
I was
why
like,
you gotta put that on me?
Take that. They're like, I don't know.
Why is that?
It's
Have you
just
always
what it
been
is.
that way? Like since high school?
I mean,
parties?
I was like the class clown, and
Okay.
you know, like I just had this like desire when things were quiet. I'm like, I want people laughing. Hey, what about? And I would just make a joke in the middle of class.
Do you do comedy at all, or you just like it?
I mean, I there's comedy in my sets, like not
Okay.
like stand up comedy
Yeah,
in terms
yeah.
of like setup, punchline,
Yeah.
but like, I write heavy music, so I like to make people laugh between
Right.
songs.
Right.
Otherwise
Because
it's
you are a funny
fucking
person.
sad.
I
Thank
remember
you.
us laughing a lot.
I mean, we used to laugh a lot.
Yeah.
So I have this song called "Where Do We Go," and it's very sad. It's about like a lost love, and love essentially being like an entity and saying like, "I'm over here, come find me," and then just like you look for it, and it's like, "Oh, I'm over here now, come find me," and it's like you trying to catch love. Anyways, sad. And the first time I played it, I was worried that it was going to be too sad at the end of the set. So I was like, this will be good. And I had a plan. I didn't have an actual plan for the title. I just knew that I was going to make a stupid title up to get people's minds to like really be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So I walk up, I was like, this is my last one. This is going to be on my upcoming album called Still Here. It's the last track on the album. It's like I won't explain it. It's called The Look on the Dog's Face at the Animal Shelter when you played with it for 30 minutes when you had no intention of adapting it, and then it watches you leave. And then I just play an E minor chord and stand there in like a depressed state and wait like 3 seconds. And then I go, could you fucking imagine? And then they all start laughing and clapping and stuff. And then I go, no, this song is very sad though. It's called Where Do We Go? And then I start playing. But by then, they're going into it happy, thinking they were going to listen to I don't know what that song would sound like. And sometimes they even say that. I'm like, could you imagine? I go, what the fuck would that song even sound like?
Yeah.
And they keep laughing or whatever, depending on, you know, I did theater my entire life. So like, I know how the laugh is supposed to work, you know? So like it gets to here, as soon as it starts to drop, you give another one, and it gets a little higher. And as soon as it starts to drop, you give another one. And then once you get your 3, you let that die down, and then you're good.
Yeah. That's kind of like how comedy is like a special.
Exactly.
When you watch it, like I've gone to a lot of comedy shows, big ones, small ones, theaters, arenas. But I also like to watch it, and I also like to listen to it. And I've noticed there's like so many different styles, just like music.
Yeah.
Just like acting. There's not one way, and that's why certain people like certain comics and others. But there's this thing where like, yeah, they get like, you come out right away, you get like one laugh, but it's not like epic.
No.
There's only like, if you have an hour-long set, there's probably like 5 to 10 times where you get like a
huge
just,
pop.
you have to wait to talk because everyone's just like dying because it's like big punchlines, maybe a 5-10 minute story.
Yep.
But you come out right away just like, this town, so you got something there.
Yeah.
Everyone starts laughing. It has like these peaks and troughs, but the peaks and troughs start going like this and they die down. Then you kind of get laughing and fatigue, like especially if you're in the crowd because you're laughing so hard. It's like, do you ever laugh for an hour straight? It's like impossible.
It's hard. You have abs afterwards.
Yeah, it hurts. So you're sitting there and like, then you don't laugh at anything, and the crowd gets quiet, and you only get a couple laughs that were out of sync with the rest of the wave. And then boom, it just comes back, and by the end, it's just epic laughter. And it's just like this constant formula, and the formula shifts, but it always has it. You can't just get constant. Like, even the funniest people, Dave Chappelle, Bill Burr, these people are legendary. You can't have constant laughter. It's okay to have that quiet part.
Well, and what Dave Chappelle's gone to is like, he's going to get real serious.
Oh, yeah.
In that middle.
Yeah, real serious.
You know?
You're gonna almost want to cry.
Correct.
And then somehow he makes you laugh.
And then because I think the goal is just catharsis. No matter if you're acting, doing comedy, doing music, dancing, what have you, is to provide catharsis. That's like what we're talking about ancient civilizations. That's why they did live performance, was to give people catharsis. That could be laughter. That could be crying.
Yeah.
There could be no outward emotion and just thought that makes you be like, things make sense now. Like, wow, I never had that perspective. That's crazy. Providing a breakthrough moment for people.
Yeah.
And so that's why I don't feel like binded by the genre of my music. I'm like, it's me though. So if in the middle I just want to make them laugh and I want to just like not have an actual set list planned and just be like, you want to hear a sad song? I do that sometimes. I'm like, you want to hear a sad song? Happy song, a bittersweet song, or a fun song? And they're like, fun song. I'm like, cool. What's your name? Dave? This one's for Dave. And just be present, be true to the moment. And people love it because they're like, wow, he's actually like, he cares about our experience.
But what you just said is why people expect you to be the life of the party. You know, people wouldn't do that. They almost use performing as a way to hide. Because you get to hide behind stuff. You're breaking 3rd, 4th, 5th walls here. You know, and that's intimidating for some people.
Yeah.
You know, most people already have an inherent stage fright, performance fright, speech fright.
Yeah.
I used to have it really bad. I've completely lost it.
Yeah.
Like with everything I've had to do and done, I'm just like, it doesn't matter now. But you're like, I think because your theater training and your acting, you like can be in this place, this persona that you can go outside of it. You can do that. You introduce yourself to Mike. Like most people don't do that. Just like they sit there, tune, and they. I wish these tuners weren't so... Like, they try to make it laugh, and then they go back to it, and, like, this is great. And a little bit of comedy, but, like, laughter, and, like, just go back to it, but not engaging all the time, having people pick songs. Like, it's like you're doing this unique routine.
Yeah.
And it's not that common. Especially, it might be more common with people that are, like, really big, so they can get away with doing it. Just always reaching out and doing stuff. But to do it, I'm sure you have done it in places where there's 5 people and 100 people, you know, and that's probably that energy you have because you have a lot of confidence and you're articulate. That's probably why people expect that from you at gatherings. Yeah. You know, they expect that type of thing. Yeah. I could see it. Yeah. I don't hang out with you that much and I could see it. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. I like to, because again, in doing the work on ego and stuff, if I decide to take on that responsibility, I'm feeding ego.
I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're
but
like,
then if I also,
am that.
Yeah, exactly. But then if I also decide to ignore that, I'm ignoring everyone else's experience around me, which is leading with ego because now I don't care about their experience.
So what do? But then you're just being yourself. Just be yourself. Just go to the party and just exist.
You just have to be present and you just have to go with where the wind. And this is why it's always figure it out for me because if I go there thinking, okay, I'm going to do this, and then I go there and the energy is not matching, and I force that, now I'm an asshole.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. I think it's such a weird line to toe.
Yeah.
You know? I think ultimately, like, I had like a near-death experience, I had a near-death experience in 2021. That's what this whole album is about.
Really? Mm-hmm. Can you talk about it or no?
Yeah. I'll do the quick IMDb synopsis.
But I want to hit extended. I want to click the button.
Damn it. Okay.
Chops
Read
on a couple
more?
paragraphs. Just a couple more paragraphs.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
read more.
I was having some abdominal pain, and I was like, interesting. Weirdly enough, I was at a party, and it's LA. They were offering me things, and I was like,
What kind of things,
I
Claudio?
feel things.
Like cocaine?
Like things.
Adderall?
Enough things. A variety of things. And I was like, I just feel like I feel like there's something wrong with me right now. Like, so I'm not gonna
Do
I
anything.
didn't drink, I didn't do nothing.
Yeah.
And then next day the pain kind of went away, and then it came back at work, and I was like, I'm leaving. Like I'm in like an immense amount of pain. I've broken bones. This was like something different. Went home, tried to relax for a bit, like took a bath, tried to just like see if it was just like a muscle pain or what have you. Wasn't going anywhere. Went to the hospital and was like, I think I have appendicitis. And they were like, okay. They ran some tests. I was there for 7 hours. They come back. They're like, okay, here's your paperwork. It's a kidney stone. I was like, kidney stone. They're like, yep. I was like, the pain is in the front right side of my body, and you said the kidney stone's on my back left side. Like, the pain could be anywhere. I was like, okay. So left. Yeah, I was also on morphine for 7 hours because I was in an immense amount of pain.
Oh, man, that's rough.
Mm-hmm. And so I leave. I go to the pharmacy to get the prescription. Call my mom. Told her. I was like, I don't believe them. I think they got it wrong, though. Like, I want to get a second opinion. She's like, Claudio, it's a doctor. They did a scan. They didn't see anything. I was like, okay. Go inside of the pharmacy. Try to get it filled. He's like, our system's down. I can't write any prescriptions right now. I was like, cool. Really good. Mind you, I was up all night because I was at the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
I go home. And within 20 minutes of me being home, I sit down. I'm reading the paperwork on how to handle a kidney stone. And the hospital calls me. They're like, Mr. Parrone? I'm like, yeah. They're like, how close do you live to the hospital? I was like, 10 minutes. Why? They're like, so we actually read the wrong chart. You need to come back immediately. We have to perform surgery as soon as we can. I was like, what do you mean?
Oh.
They're like, we read someone else's chart. Your appendix burst, and that's why we didn't see it. Yada yada yada. We need to get you back in, so on and so forth.
Oh my God!
This
So
is
it
good.
burst.
This is good. This is good. Probably burst while I was there. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
It could have been taken care of in a much easier
Yes.
way.
And I was there for 7 hours. That's important. So I get back there, and they put me in a little area, not a room, just a curtain. My friend Curtis came with me.
Curtis was there?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
He sat with me for 2 hours. They allowed him to be there for 2 hours. And during that time, nurses were coming in, insurance people were coming in, doctors, people just be like, you have health insurance? I'm like, no. They're like, okay, we can apply. I applied for health insurance while I was there. I was only on unemployment because it was during the pandemic. They said I was making too much money for state aid. I was making too much money from the state, from unemployment, for them to give me state health insurance. It's a whole nother thing.
Isn't this country great
Whole nother
sometimes?
So, long story short, they said my surgery was going to be at 9 a.m. Then they said it was going to be at noon. Then they said it was going to be at 3. Then they said it was going to be at 6.
Do they want you to die?
They said it was going to be at 9. I finally got into surgery at 11:30 at night. And I got back there at 7:30 a.m.
So you had to wait 16, 17 hours?
Yeah, on a morphine drip. And then they had to take the morphine
Can't
drip
you
out.
Die
Yes.
while it's just...
Yes. I could have slipped
Because
into
you
a
didn't
coma.
have insurance? Is that why?
I was in writhing pain. So they were like, this is going to help with the pain. But then they had to be like, okay, we have to take it out because we have to do an antibiotic drip for 10 minutes because we don't want you to get sepsis. And then you can't eat or drink water because you have to have surgery. So here's some sugar water to go into your veins so that you don't pass out
Dehydration, yeah.
and dehydrate. So that was miserable.
That sounds terrible.
I'm in the hospital for another 2 days because I couldn't feel my legs for an extra 12 hours. And so they had to carry me out of bed, and they had to reteach me how to walk because they also, when they do laparoscopy, they do they blow you up with CO2. So they laser through you, and then they blow you up with CO2 so that your stomach's expanded so they don't hit the other organs while they're vacuuming your stuff out.
Oh my God.
So
That's insane.
Right.
Who came up with that idea?
I have no idea.
Imagine that when they first tried it in like
it's probably
1948,
brilliant.
and some guy just so many people died.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that one. Okay,
Like,
blow him up bigger next
so
time.
I took the whole intestine on accident.
I took out his heart. Wrong surgery. Wrong chart.
Right.
Jesus Christ, Claudio.
Yeah. So that was a nightmare. And then
That's a nightmare.
4 days after my surgery, so 3 days after my surgery, Curtis starts coughing. So I was sleeping on the couch because I couldn't get out of my bed. Like I could barely move, and like pee in a bottle and like
You're all
stuff.
messed up.
Yeah, I'm all messed up.
I'm sure.
And so
pooping is probably unbearable.
Couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't use my abdomen,
Right.
and I also couldn't eat.
Right. So there's nothing there anyway.
So there's nothing there.
Yeah.
And so Curtis stayed with me on the couch for a few days. Day 3, he starts coughing. But we slept with like the screen door open on the patio. I was like, maybe it's just allergies. He thought it was allergies. Day 4, he gets a COVID test.
Oh, no.
Day 5, the COVID test comes back positive. Day 5, I go get my own COVID test because I started coughing ridiculously on day 5.
Don't tell me you got COVID at this time.
I got COVID.
Oh, God.
Not only was I trying to recover from my very first surgery,
Yeah.
one that was like already a shit experience.
Super
because of
serious.
all the,
Yeah.
right. Now I have COVID, and it's Delta before Delta was announced. And I ended up getting the COVID pneumonia. And I had to go back to the hospital because I had a 102 fever that lasted about 20 days.
Oh, my God.
Because my body was fighting off
Something else.
Something
It
else.
was so weak. It was in
Yeah.
such a bad spot. No food.
and I was trying not to, I lost 15 pounds.
Oh, yeah.
When I went back to the hospital and was talking to the doctor, my blood oxygen was like 91. The lowest you wanted to get is 93.
Yeah, isn't it supposed to be like 99?
Yeah.
98?
Mhm.
Right.
And so they did another antibiotic thing for me. And then I was like, I haven't been able to eat in a while. He's like, what's a while? I was like, probably 5 days. And then he's like, okay. So he gives me some sugar water. Then he's like, we're going to get the second antibiotic. I was like, am I going to get nauseous because I haven't eaten anything? He's like, you shouldn't. I was like, okay. He puts it in, walks away. As soon as he walks out, I'm like gagging because I had no nutrients. I had nothing.
Bile, there's
exactly.
nothing there, yeah.
So he comes back. We're talking. By the time the antibiotics kicked in, my body was like starved for them because my blood oxygen was like 95. By the time I left, I was there for probably 7 hours, 8 hours. And he sat and talked to me for about 30 minutes because when he told me they found the pneumonia in my lungs, I started crying because that's what was killing people, like the fluid in their lungs, and then they would sort of drown.
Wow.
So he's like, I know what you're thinking. Please stay off the internet. Don't read anything. You look like you're in great health otherwise, like so on and so forth. But, this is still something to take serious. So, like, make sure you're taking the antibiotics. Make sure you're sleeping upright. Don't sleep flat. They gave me a mechanism to strengthen my lungs again. Because I was like, I'm a singer, man. I was like, how long is this going to, like, a couple months and I'm better? He's like, no. He's like, it's going to be about 6 to 8 months until you're able to, like, breathe normally again. And you're going to have probably permanent scarring on your lungs from this. Because they didn't know. Because it's not pneumonia, it's COVID pneumonia.
Yeah,
so it's pneumonia induced by this virus.
Yeah.
And it was proving to be fatal in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
And so he told me that, and I was like, just panicking. I'm like, there's no way. And I'm also just laying in the hospital. I've never been in the hospital this much in my life. Thousands of miles away from my family. I'm like, there's just no way. There's just no way. There's just no way. And he was like, whatever told you to call the hospital tonight, you said you haven't been able to break this fever for weeks. Whatever told you to call the hospital tonight, like, thank them. Because with the rate of this progression, from my estimate, we would have had to put you on a ventilator if you came 24 hours later.
Which is death sentence.
Death sentence. So I was like, okay.
Oh, Jesus
Thanks.
Christ.
Wow,
and this is all at 29 years old, 28 years old?
I was 20, so it's 2021, so I was 28.
Wow.
27.
27.
I hadn't turned 28
You
yet.
could have joined the 27 club.
I know, dude.
Bro.
And I kind of thought that. I was like, is this how I'm joining? It's like, I was like, can somebody give me
you can't even
can
talk.
someone give me a
like,
white lighter?
yeah.
I heard they all had white lighters.
Yeah, luckily, not luckily, they died from very different things.
Very different things.
Yeah.
Tragic things.
Jesus Christ, this is
But yeah,
terrible.
so yeah, it was the worst time of my life.
It sounds like
But
it.
also, I think the best thing that's ever happened to me. It slowed me down, like a lot. Slowed me down, forced me to be like, your life is fragile.
Yeah,
every decision you make matters.
Everything matters,
but also it doesn't.
Yeah,
like it's like again this dichotomy of like it's the same conversation with the ego situation. It does, but it doesn't. Right? Because like none of us are more extraordinary than the next because we're all extraordinary. None of our circumstances are more extraordinary than the next because they're all extraordinary. And so in that, it like forced me to go outside myself and be like, how can you feel fulfilled and fed and like, how can you feel like you're moving with love while also making sure that everyone around you is also feeling that and you're helping put them in a position to like move with love and compassion? And how can you like help teach people this lesson you just learned? Because it was like I learned a big, valuable lesson. And that led to like everything that I've done since, every single thing that I've done since then. Wow. It's crazy. Like the album is called Still Here. The movie's called Still Here. And it's because like the song that we just did earlier, it's called Still Here. Just the acknowledgement that we are, I think is very grounding, you know? The acknowledgement that like, I know you're having a bad day. I get it. You've had a lot of bad days. You've had a shit ton of bad days in all of your days of living. You made it through all of those. You're still here. You're still going to be here tomorrow. And you have the chance to do it again. Like to try again. That's all we're doing, is we're just trying our best. And that's the biggest thing I learned, is like, just got to try. You just got to try your best.
Did it make you appreciate the moment more?
Oh man. Yeah.
I bet, yeah.
It made me start doing, like, I got braces after that. So that's what I was telling you. I like dyed my hair. I started like painting my nails, doing things that I had always wanted to do, but felt like I couldn't because of the chains of whatever, society or my own fear and insecurity or what have you. Just started expressing myself more unapologetically because I was like, it doesn't matter. Like, what am I afraid of? What am I afraid of? And a lot of times fear can't be explained. I got fear tattooed on me after that because I was like, I think I'm going to start going towards it. Yeah. A little bit more.
I always wondered what people are afraid of when it comes to that self-expression thing. The tattoos, painting your nails, hair, beards, clothes, fashion, like anything like that. Like, why are you afraid? And then as a person who's not doing it, why do you care what other people are doing? Yeah. If they're not hurting anyone, they're not breaking laws, like who cares?
Well, I think there are certain situations where it is very justified to have fear of certain things happening to you based on how you're expressing. Like, it is dangerous for like the LGBTQ plus community to express themselves how they want to sometimes, because it can be sort of extravagant. And depending on where you are, that extravagance will not be met with kindness and acceptance.
Yeah.
Right? And so, and in other communities as well, in other cultures as well. But that's just the first one that came to mind, you know? Certain cultures, if they express themselves, they're considered loud or obnoxious, you know? So, but should fear accompany the potential for something bad or uncomfortable happening? I don't think so. But I'm also not in those groups that are marginalized, that like fear is just a natural instinct for them in a lot of situations.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's tough to have that conversation, for me at least, like, because I see it in all my various friends that are in these demos that are like, you just don't get it. I'm like, I don't. You're right.
What you just said struck a nerve, because I'm very much a road trip, just go about. Just go to Mexico City on a whim with all your equipment. Just no protection, nothing. I walk in forests, I walk in night, I do whatever I want. And when I talk to other people who do it, women are just like, I can't do that.
Yep.
I'm just like, why not? And they're like, it's not. I'm like, I get it, but I always ask. I have to say, why not? I just want to hear them talk about it. You know, not like I don't get it, but I'm like, wow, that like you can't just go walk around at night in Chicago. Not like, this neighborhood's not dangerous.
No,
but as a man, it's very different from as a woman. And even your size and skin color change those things too.
Mm-hmm.
And then road tripping, I've heard a lot of Black people say like, I can't do that. I'm like, oh, yeah, right. I just like drive wherever I want. I'm drive through Georgia, Mississippi, going to Louisiana, go to Miami. I'm half Mexican, but people think I'm just like a white dude. They can't fully figure out, but you know what I'm saying. I pass just like you. You're half Italian.
Yeah, my dad's from Italy.
Right. Like we just look like slightly more olive white dudes, you know? No one's going to really bat an eye. And we're also like not too small, not too incapable.
Yeah.
But I started to realize like, man, that's like my own advantage, privilege kind of box I get to be in where I'm just like, so if I have that, I'm going to do something good with it.
Yep.
I am going to travel with the equipment to New York, LA, Nashville, Mexico, and do this thing because I can. So I'm going to do it.
Yep.
So when I meet guys who just won't do those things, whatever it is that's relevant for them, won't go on the walk, it's like, dude, we're lucky. Like, we're really lucky. You better get out there, like, seize the day. Like, it's corny, but, like, go on the bike ride because no one's going to really mess with you. If they are, I mean, chances of them doing it is low. Be smart. Don't wear nice stuff and then go out and you'll be okay, like, 100% of the time. So, like, I feel fortunate to have that, and I want to make it to where other people can have it, too. And hopefully, one day, I hope in our lifetime that anyone can just go out for a walk. Anyone can go on a road trip anywhere in this country. Around the world, that's a whole nother beast that might take way too long, unfortunately. But we can make it to people can go out. I wish it was more safe. I wish a young Black woman can just go on a road trip with her friends and not fear. You know, that's sad. That's a very unfortunate thing to me. But because I feel more safe doing it, I'm going to do it and try to do something really good with this experience, you know? Yeah, but I've had some close calls in life. Not as crazy as yours or as long like, that seemed like it lasted.
Yeah, it was like 6 weeks.
Too long. And how long before are your lungs fully back to normal?
So I had an X-ray and a CAT scan done probably 3 months ago at this point because I had some more breathing problems. And they said they didn't see any significant scarring, but they'd have to do further scans to really see. But they were like, we didn't see anything. And I was like, oh, thank God.
Do you feel any different?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I haven't been able... I don't have the same vocal stamina that I did.
Really?
I, like, try to play basketball and football, and even when I was playing baseball, too, it's just not as physically exerting. One time around the base paths, and it was like... And I'm wheezing, and I'm like, oh,
do you smoke anything?
No.
Weed, nothing like that? Probably shouldn't, given your state. But
correct.
Man.
And I was. Right. But then after, I was like, I don't want to do any more
nothing. You should rinse. Edibles.
Yeah, right.
That sucks. Do you have a scar?
They're tiny because like it's like I said, it's lasers.
Yeah.
So like they just like this one's a little bit bigger, but I have 3 of them. Yeah. Yeah,
that's
crazy.
Wild, just one after the other.
Yeah.
And it just goes like the universe doesn't care about your feelings, right? Nothing does.
Right.
It's
but
like,
again, thinking about like the journey through all these, right? The first 7 went the way they did so that you could learn things so that these last 4 could be so successful. I had to go through that in order to have those breakthrough moments and experience weakness, physical weakness, mental weakness. I'd been depressed for a very long time, years prior. This was a whole nother... That last day before I called the hospital to be like, something's really not right, I was going to kill myself. I was like, I'm suffering right now. Like, suffering. I'd never suffered before in my life. I'd gone through pain. I'd never suffered.
Yeah.
I was suffering for weeks. And it was like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. I can't. And then I just like sent out I was like, all right, I didn't believe in anything for a very long time. And I was like, all right, okay, do something. Show me something, please. This can't be it. This cannot be it. I have so many more things to say and do and experience. My family can't, like, I don't want to do this to my family. Like, I'm thousands of miles away. This can't be. And then that same night, I made a phone. I hadn't talked to anybody. I wasn't talking to people because I was so fucking sick and I don't want anybody seeing me sick. That night I had this strong pull to call my friend that I hadn't spoken to in 5-6 months. He didn't know I was sick. He was off social media. He was just, I called him and he's like, hey. And I was like, I just started crying. He's like, what's going on? So I told him. He's like, call the hospital right now. Hang up the phone, call the hospital. I was like, okay. So then I did. And like I said, so I went and the doctor was like, thank whoever.
So he's the one to thank. Wow.
But also it's like the second that I was just open and just like humility was just like pouring out of me. And I was like, I can't do this. So whatever is happening in the ether, energy wise, if there's a God, if there's a whatever, you don't have to heal me. Just give me a sign that's going to lead me in the direction to help me get better. I don't need to get better today. I need to know there's hope. Because it wasn't. Taking extra strength Tylenol, the fever will go from 102.9 to 102.7.
Yeah, it just was not working.
Was not working.
You needed some real stuff.
And so that sign, that message was this, like, looking at my phone and being like, I don't want to do it. But then being like, and suddenly I'm calling my friend against my will. Like, that's what it felt like. And since then, I've just developed a different relationship with spirituality.
Yeah,
and,
I bet.
I feel much more connected. I feel reason I find reason in everything.
Everything. I could see that in you.
You know?
Last few hours. I can see these little subtle differences, which is, it's great. It's beautiful. It's a good thing, especially to have now. So if you ever do have, a family and stuff, like, you don't have to learn it through that way. You can just show the kids those things instead of like having to go through some hard stuff like that. A lot of dads do that. I have this fun theory about, like, we've all seen these dads, especially us both being from like similar areas, Midwest, that the dads that like can't do anything and their moms have them by like a tight leash are dads that like didn't experience what you did and they found out the hard way by doing some sketchy stuff while having kids and married, but the kids are too young to remember. Maybe gambling, maybe a little wandering eye too much, maybe prostitution, maybe whatever, drinking. It doesn't matter. It's something because it's like, why do you see those dads that don't have that leash? And they're not like stronger, bolder men who are like, they're just, their personalities are similar, but for some reason they're free to like, they can still go out and have friends and go bowling night. But you see those dads that like can't do anything without the wife being there or being aware
Irresponsible.
of it. And I have this theory. It's like the wife gave them a second chance at some point. They messed up something. They did something stupid while they had kids, and the wife was like, "You want to be here with this family? You get one more shot." And then those dads like, "Yes, okay, I'm back." So like they learn the hard way. So it seems like you might have just needed. That's what was the thing. Like, I'm never gonna be that guy for like a family. Stuff. It's just a fun theory, but it's like because I see it all the time. The older I get, the more I see like the bootlace strapped just dad is just like. Sorry, the wife, and it's like, why do you have like no autonomy? Like, what happened? And I'm like, oh, they probably did something really stupid, or irresponsible, or dangerous, or bad. And the wife's like, listen, you get one more chance. And then they're like, okay, and they just like they have to like can't do anything. And it's just that, or it could just be that they're just a submissive type.
And like
there's a lot of reasons.
Something to be said about that too, or like if not having self-worth and
that comes there's a lot of things.
That comes with like learning more about yourself and actually wanting to meet yourself. A lot of people don't. Right. Look, we talked about like facing things you don't want to face. A lot of people don't want to look themselves in the mirror, really look themselves in the mirror, and take the time to see all the things. They like surface, and that's fine.
It can be quite ugly. Surfaces, what you see.
But you have all the power in the world to change that ugliness. Because there's still beauty in it.
Did you ever have that at a young age? That you said you talked about depression. Was it something like that? Like you didn't like, or was it just a natural state of like this is what existence?
I think it was just sort of feeling like I was weird. Like if I really showed people myself, I'd be weird. And I was popular, and it was like if I show them all the things, I won't be popular anymore.
Popular, like high school popular?
Yeah, like throughout all of like schooling, you know, it was like because I was funny. And then the funny wasn't like I had, these crushes on girls and stuff, and I would make them laugh and do all these things, and then I'd make them laugh too much. And then it would just be, oh, I don't see you that way. You're like the friend.
Yeah.
Okay, so then at some point I stopped being funny. Or I at least changed my tactics and just shut down. And then people were like gravitated towards me because I was mysterious. Even though I wasn't trying to be mysterious, I was just shutting down. Mystery was depression. That's the answer. Buzz in. It's depression.
Don't you have a song where you say that? Mystery.
I have a song called Mystery.
Yeah. I remember that. I was like, that sounds familiar. Is that from that?
No,
experience?
But I do have a lyric. I do have a lyric in a new song that I wrote about. So it's about like first dates.
Oh.
And being really bad at first dates.
Yeah.
Like just being like really like I overshare and then I undershare and then I do this and so the song is about that.
Yeah.
And about like I'm also bad at it because I fall in love very, very quick. You know?
Yeah.
Fall in love.
Yeah.
Like
well, even that sometimes it's like for real.
Yeah.
But I'd say 1 out of 10 is like yeah.
But the whole premise of the song is mistaking nerves for falling in love. The same like fluttery stomach. So the lyric is like, I'm sorry if I said too much or talked too fast. I've been called mysterious, though I never really understood that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm bad at hello, I'm worse at goodbye. But that bit in the middle I get right from time to time, or at least I try. And it's like, it's essentially being like, I've been called mysterious, so here's a bunch of information about me. And like the first verse is more like fact-based. It's more like bullet points. So it's like, this is my favorite color. I have this. I like this. I do this. Because like that's essentially what first dates feel like to me.
Right.
It's like
first
you're
dates are
explaining
funky.
your resume. You're like, okay, so.
What's your worst first date?
Oh, man.
You don't have to name names or anything. I love like when you get by the time you're 30, everyone's got some funny stories.
Yeah. Worst first date. Probably, oh, man. I don't want to give the excruciating details because.
Yeah. Whatever you feel comfortable with.
There was this girl that I had, I met at this theater festival when we were younger. And we were interested in each other. And I was also like trying to date this girl back home at the time who was kind of like dicking me around. She's like, I don't know, like I don't really want, and then yada yada. But then, and we'd like kiss, but we had to kiss away from people. Nobody could see us kissing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Fucking me around.
Yep.
So I'm at this festival and this very pretty girl is like, I'm interested in you. I was like, cool, I'm interested in you. And maybe part of it was out of spite. I don't know. But we're like going to this dance.
How old are you?
17.
Okay.
Going to this dance. She looks beautiful. I got all dappered up. We're like walking arm in arm. She's like leaning her head on me, like into each other. I walk in and I get a text from the girl from back home. And it just says, I've been gone for 4 days at this point. It just says, I miss you.
That's the worst.
And I'm like,
especially when it just says that.
Just, I miss
It's
you.
so mysterious, but you know exactly what it means. Yeah.
So then we like walk into the dance. And I was like, I forgot something. I'll be right back. And then she's like, okay. And I was like, my friends are over there. Like, just go meet up with them. She's like, okay. She like turns away, like smiles, like, be back soon. I was like, yeah, for sure. Goes, and I just left the dance.
Oh no! You never came back.
Never came back. Went back to the room and I called the girl. She was like, I want to try this when you get home. All this stuff. So I was convicted in my decision. I was like, I like this girl more. She's like
back home.
Yes.
Yeah.
I really want to be with her. Fast forward to living in Los Angeles. Me and this girl had stayed in touch. The girl that I left at the dance.
Oh.
We had stayed in touch, and as friends, right, in a friendly capacity.
And this is like 8 years later, 9 years later.
Yeah, 9 years later.
Okay.
Enough time to where it should be fine.
It should be fine. It's been 9 years. Yes.
So
did you guys kiss or anything before you left her at the dance?
No, the dance was going to be like the moment.
So, but you never had anything with her?
No.
Okay, well then it really should be fine.
Really should be fine.
Yeah.
Should be fine. So we've been like, when I was moving out there, I was like, I'm moving out there soon. She's like, oh my God, I can't wait. Yada, yada.
She lives there.
She lives in LA.
All right.
Okay. So then when I first moved out there, she was like, I'm actually leaving next week for a backpacking trip. I was like, oh, dope. I'll see you when you get back. So she's on the backpacking trip for like a month. We're texting. She's like, man, this trip's going so well. Like, you're really going to have to make it worth my while to come back home. And I'm like, oh, she's interested. So cool. And we're like flirting. We're like really flirty over text. Like, can't wait for you to come home, all this stuff. So we had plans to go to dinner. I got all dappered up. About an hour or two before, we're supposed to meet at like 6. She's like, hey, I have to like do this thing at home. And I'll probably be finishing up at like 6:30. I can just make dinner for us at the house. Like, is that okay still? And I was like, oh yeah, it sounds great still.
That's even better.
She's inviting me over.
Yeah,
She's
that's
gonna
even
make dinner.
better.
It's great.
For those
Much
who don't
more
know,
intimate,
that's better.
home cooked meal.
Well, you're at home.
Great, yeah.
You don't have to deal with the public
comfortable,
stuff.
exactly.
Listen to some records.
Yeah.
Like, it's better.
So I'm like, this is good. This is great. This
Yeah.
is better. I go there, and she comes out. I also got there at 8 because then she pushed it to 8. She's like, I'm not done yet. I was like, okay. I get there. She meets me outside in like her pajamas, just like smoking a joint. And I was like, hey. And I was like,
Damn.
looked nice.
Yeah.
And then she's like, hey. And she's like, good to see you. And I was like, yeah, good to see you too. And then she's like, so I already ate. And I was like, okay. She's like, I just wasn't sure. Like, we can like Postmate something if you want. And I was like, I'm not hungry. It's fine. And she's like, okay. Did you bring more weed also? Because I'm out. And I was like, yeah, I did. So we just sat on her porch and smoked. And we're talking. She had been home for 5 days from this trip. We're talking. And like she opens up her phone case and like this photo pops out. It's like this little Polaroid. She like, looks at it. She's like, oh. I was like, who's that? And she's like, just a guy. And I was like, okay. And then she's like, yeah, it's fine. I was like, all right. I mean, like, who is he? Like, just curious. Like, this is the first time we're like hanging out. I'm not like being weird. It's just curious. She's like, oh, he's like, I'm his muse. And I was like,
What
say that again?
mean?
She's like, he's like a director, and
Oh, no.
I'm like his muse. Like, he just like writes things for me and puts me in things, and it's like really, I don't know. It's like stupid. Like, the day I got back, like we worked together, and like I went in for a drink, and he was there, and like just like fireworks, like sparks went off, and this and that, and this and that, and yeah, it's just like super intense, and so on and so forth. And I'm just sitting there like, and she goes, I don't know why I'm talking about another guy right now. I go, yeah, no, it's pretty fucking weird, but you sound really excited about him, so I'm happy for you. And then we just like, she's like, yeah, sorry. I was like, it's cool. I'm cool. She's like, do you want to come inside? And I was like, what? What? So we go inside and we keep hanging out. And at this point, I was so not into it, obviously.
Yeah. Of course.
And then we get done hanging out for like another like 25, 30 minutes because I was like, I'll let you go to bed. And she's like, yeah. She's like, I'm so sorry. Like, next time, let's not hang out so late. And I was like, next time? What? That was the worst. And what made it worse is that like all my roommates, like I lived with 3 people at the time, 3 friends. They were all excited. I was talking to them about her and stuff.
Yeah.
And told them the story from high
so
school.
they're all rooting at you from home.
Yes.
They're all waiting for you to come back and talk
from
about
high
it.
school. And
They're hoping you have to talk to the next day about
yes,
it, right?
Yes.
That's what they're hoping for.
Yes. And I come home and they're like,
What,
they
10
give me
o'clock,
home.
10:30
Yeah.
or something?
I was like 12:30.
Okay, still late.
Yeah. And then they were like, we didn't think you'd be home tonight. And I was like, I didn't either. And then they're like, so like, how'd it go? And I told them, and they were just fucking laughing.
Of course, I'd be dying if
I'm
my
like,
friend
I'm glad it's
this.
funny. They're like, dude, you don't get it? I was like, what? And they're like, she got you back.
Yeah, she did.
And I was like, there's no way. They're like, oh, and I lived with 2 girls, and they were like, oh no, she held on to that.
She held on.
Got
That's
you back.
petty.
And I was like,
It's very petty. Wow. You don't want to be with someone like that.
I wasn't mad though. I was like, honestly,
That's good.
that's the long con.
That's a long con, and it's a little petty.
I like it. I'm not mad. I'm not mad at a little bit of pettiness.
9 years and you never even did anything? You never even had a relationship?
Nothing.
That's too petty.
Look,
It's a great story.
I like a good game.
It's a great story.
Yeah.
Man, what you just said is what I miss about living with, oh my God, I had like 6, 7, 8 roommates. And there was one point when it was only guys, the girls moved out, and everyone was single at the same time.
That's crazy.
It was crazy.
That is crazy.
And it was
synergy.
at the end, like the pandemic was like, we can go out again. It was crazy because everyone would be going on dates. There was times where all of us were doing our own dates. We'd all come back and talk about it. It was
That's
so
awesome.
much. It was so much fun.
That's a sitcom.
It was a sitcom.
Yeah,
We'd
it's
sit
a
around the
sitcom.
counter and so not not drinking, maybe passing a joint, maybe not, just like talking. But like this stuff, like funny stuff, crazy stuff, wild stuff, beautiful stuff, people falling in love. Like it was everything. It was so much fun. It wasn't like a locker room guy talk.
Yeah, it
like,
wasn't braggadocious.
No, not at all. It was just fun. It was like, so what'd you guys do? Dang, that happened? You made out? What? No way. Are you gonna go on a second date?
Yeah.
And it was just like, no, dude, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then, I have a friend who I won't say his name, but he's got a unique sense of humor. And if the dates were bad, he would bring them to the house.
Oh no.
It was the
Oh no.
So they were good.
Yeah.
He didn't come home.
Correct.
They were bad. He'd bring them to the house. Because they were so bad, he wanted to make them worse.
Oh no.
Because it's like now there's a bunch of guys and we're like, what's up? And the first time he does it, you don't know that. Even the second time, you don't know that. Until you catch on, you're like, what happened to the last? Like, why is it every time someone comes here, it's the last time I ever see them? But then when you're gone for a bit, it's because things are... And I asked him, and he just started smiling. I was like, do you bring the bad dates home? He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh my God. I've never heard of that a day in my life.
That's
Everyone
so
brings
funny,
good
though.
dates home.
That's so
Nobody
funny.
brings the bad dates home. It could be its own comedy skit for Comedy Center,
God, I
something.
love
It's
that.
amazing.
You want to leave them with a really, really, really bad taste.
So awkward.
Yeah.
Just like this girl joins the joint circle. I don't know her. We're listening to records. We're nerding out about production, something stupid that we always did at the house. And we're just passing a joint, and she's just sitting there kind of awkward. I'm like, so how was the date? And she's just like, because it wasn't good. I'm like, what is going on? And he probably lied to
man.
her. She's
Oh.
like, come over. We can hang out more. And she walks into a bunch of people. She can't just like dip. So she's
Nope.
like, I'm stuck in this.
Yeah.
Funny. The last couple months there with all of that was hysterical. It was
golden.
just chaos, just every night, this day, that day. So all dating apps, just pure, just whatever happens. But really fun, really unique. Like I miss that a little bit. Not anymore. I'm glad to like be in a relationship and everyone's doing their thing. It's not like that.
Yeah.
But for a moment, it was pretty funny. Like
Yeah.
those things are so funny. You're like, what happened? But that date, that sounds pretty
So
rough.
funny.
I've had a couple rough dates. Definitely. Like not rough, just like, oh no. Like within 10 minutes, like, I'll go through it the rest of this night, but there's no way
Yeah, there's
we're
just no
ever
way.
hanging out again.
Yeah.
Like I remember this one person, it was brutal. We went on a date. I got really cool concert tickets. And we're going in this primarily more like upper class and white area of Chicago. It just is. And I just met her. I just picked her up from her apartment. We park, we're walking to go get some food. And as we're walking across the street, I have known her for 5 minutes. She's like, don't you just love this area? I was like, yeah. She's like, yeah, it's really great ever since all the white people moved back. And I was like, oh no. I was like, what? And I was like, she doesn't know that the concert we're going to is all Mexican people. It's Omar Apollo. It's all Mexican people. So that was really disturbing. And so I just started leaning into it. So I was like, there's this really great Ethiopian restaurant we should go to. So I bring her to this Ethiopian restaurant.
Oh
It's
my God.
awkward the whole time. I'm just getting drunk off margaritas. I'm like, screw this. But I'm going to have fun with it because, like, why not? And then we go to see Omar Apollo at the Riviera Theater. And it's all Hispanic crowd, which is fine. I mean, I'm half Mexican. It felt normal to me. Nothing about it felt weird at all. But she just looks around. She looks at me. And she's like, this is not my kind of crowd. And I was like, and I go, what does that mean? Like as if I don't get it. And she's like, it's just not my kind of crowd. I was like, okay. And I just kept dancing with everyone. I just got in the crowd. I kind of like left her like to the side. I was dancing. She disappears, comes back, and she's like, I'm sick. I threw up in the bathroom. I'm like, okay, she's just saying that.
Yeah, she wants to go.
And then she just was like, I gotta go. I'm like, I don't feel good. I was like, okay, nice meeting you. And she left, and I just stayed the rest of the night and kept dancing. And I was like, I got home again that night. My friends were like, home so
What
early?
happened?
What
Yeah.
happened? And I was like,
Yeah.
I told them those friends, like,
You're like, oh, she's racist.
she was racist. They're like, wait, so why didn't you leave the date? I was like, because I wanted to bring her to an Ethiopian restaurant and then an Hispanic-based
wanted to
crowd.
clown her.
I wanted to clown her. Like, she's clowning me in society. I'm gonna clown her right back.
Yeah.
It was hilarious.
I love that.
So funny. But yeah, that was pretty rough. But I had the worst date of my life I was like 19. She was 18. She came over. This is back when you just met people in real life.
Yeah.
And I met her through playing shows as a teenager, like skate parks and stuff like that. And I was like, I love Bocce's Pizza in Chicago. Probably heard of it. And I was like, want to go get Bocce's Pizza in Wrigleyville? She's like, sure. Like, so she came over, and that's back when I'd take the train only. I wouldn't drive. So I drove to Midway, took the orange line to the red line, all the way up. She didn't speak the whole time. No words. I'm sitting there trying to talk. She's just staring at me quietly. I'm like, okay. No speaking. When I listen to music, she didn't say anything. I was like, all right. So I put the music on, nothing. Get on the red line, didn't say anything. We eat pizza. I buy it. I pay for it. Doesn't say anything. Didn't say thank. Just nothing. Just eats it. Takes a couple bites. Puts it down. Doesn't finish the rest of it. So I ate her slice for her. Then we get back on the red line. This is north side of Chicago, 3600 north on Addison. I just fell asleep on the train. Very rare, but I fell asleep. She never wakes me up. We miss the stop at Roosevelt to the Orange Line. Keep going to the south side. It's late at night now. It's midnight. 95th Street is the last stop of the red line. We're talking at the very end.
Oh, my God.
Also not the kind of neighborhood you want to be sleeping on the train in at all. And I don't wake up from her. I wake up some guy, like, touching me. This guy, like, unhoused guy, like, touching me. And I'm like, I wake up, I'm like, what's up? And he's just, like, looking at me. Like, he's trying to, like, rob me or something.
Yeah.
But he wasn't being aggressive. I think he was out of it. And I was like, what? I'm looking, I'm like, where? And I look at the thing. It just says 95th and Dan Ryan. I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, why didn't you wake me up? She's just like, her only words was like, I don't know. And I was like, oh, my God. Like, what?
What?
I was like, we have to get off the train right now. We got back off. Took her right back up to the Roosevelt, transferred back. She never talked the whole time, brought her back to the house. She got in her car and left. She said 2 sentences the whole time. Didn't say anything, never woke me up, nothing. I was like, what was
How
that?
many hours?
It's probably like 4 hours, 5 hours, this whole process.
That's insane.
Didn't say anything. And then we didn't.
I think she was a witch.
I don't know what
I
happened.
think she was a witch.
But it was very awkward.
I think she was, a witch cast a spell on her.
Yeah, it was awkward. That was only like, what is going on? But nothing like bad. Like yours was like, what?
Yeah.
Like that one was a little what, but I figured out quickly, like, she doesn't talk much,
yeah,
so
she's weird.
I guess
Yeah.
I'll just talk, and she's
Yeah.
being a little strange about it, but whatever.
Yeah.
That one's just kind of like, wait, what's going on? Wait, you
It
were
was so funny.
Wait, you're dressed in pajamas? Wait, you kept pushing it? Wait, you want weed?
It was just
Like
her
just,
fucking with me.
Yeah.
It was just her fucking with me.
Did it show on her face or her actions?
The disinterest? Yeah. Yeah.
Just because of that is...
I don't know. I mean, it could have been other things too. But
no, that's...
you
She
know?
held on to that.
She
You never
might
asked her about it? You should ask her about it.
No. Nope.
No, I guess it doesn't matter now.
I like certain things being, you know, it happened and it was never discussed.
As much as I enjoy like hanging out with my guy friends talking about it, I always love what women's experiences too.
Oh, yeah.
Because I have a lot of friends that are women that tell me their experience, and I'm like, especially with dating apps, I'm like, oh man, yeah, men kind of suck. Like, we can have our heart broken and be toyed with, but like, just to get to a guy that they could see that's like not creepy.
Yep.
I'm like, what?
No, they got to jump through.
Oh my
hoops,
God,
man.
this guy dresses up like a clown. Yeah, he showed me his dick. I don't even like I'm like, what?
Yep.
I just got to like be friendly, and I could probably like get to talking to somebody and then probably get a date. Like, it doesn't, I'm fortunate in a place where I can like do that. It's not the worst, or used to be able to do that. But some of these women I know, the guys they deal with, I'm like, oh my God, like,
It's insane.
unbelievable. Just 200 people they got to go through. Whereas like, I'm trying to like talk to like one or two.
One.
Like, I'm trying to go from like 3 to just 1.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Like, it's that simple. And they're just like hundreds. Like, yeah, I got to deny that. I don't know. I'm like, holy crap.
It's wild, man.
It's crazy. I'm like, this is kind of a metaphor of what their reality is like.
Yep.
This is just the digital format of it. But like, that's what the catcalling, the eyes, the gazing, the grabbing, the groping, the converse, all of that's just life.
Yeah.
And that really, I'm glad I had friends that are women to like really tell that to me. Not that I didn't kind of know and I didn't really behave the way, but that I could at least share that experience with other men who don't get it yet,
Right.
who are still acting a little immature and rude. I'm like, guys, talk to some women. Like, it's not cool. Like,
Yeah.
you really need to like stop it. Like, we're not, you get some passes when you're a kid because you don't know any better.
Yep.
Maybe you had bad role models. Maybe your dad's not around. It happens. But when you're 30, you can't be doing this. You can't act that way.
No.
You know? Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah.
I'm sure dating in a city like LA when you're not there from there is probably a very interesting.
Yeah, it's real different. I mean, I went on a handful of dates, but I'm not a dater. I don't like dating.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a like you're either my person or you're not kind of
Yeah,
thing, you know.
I do, yeah.
So like I knew with my girlfriend right away.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm not like I don't know, partnership, like romantic partnership and like life partnership should not be something you have to weed through.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah, it should come pretty naturally.
Yeah.
I mean, when it starts to really be real, you gotta always take work.
Yeah, 100%.
But you kind of know when like this person's really cool.
You find the person that's worth the work. Like the idea that like you're gonna find the one person on the planet that was designed for you, I think is a little foolish. I do believe in soulmates, but I think that soulmates is not tied to romantic partners. I think there are a handful of people you're going to meet in your life that you were supposed to meet, right?
Absolutely.
And you do feel different when you're with them.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean they have to be a romantic partner.
Right.
The idea of finding someone is like realizing that this person is the person you want to choose every day, and this person is the person that chooses you every day.
Mm-hmm.
And then you found it after you put the work in and learned that this is the right person and you're the right person for them. You don't just meet someone and go like, oh, this is it. This is the thing. Because like if the person isn't going to put the work in that you're putting in, it's not reciprocated. It's obviously not the love for you. And I feel like so many people are okay with one-sided relationships or 80-20 or 70-30. Constant 70-30. There's moments where it's going to be 70-30 because someone else needs to be supported.
Sure.
But like, it's a partnership for a reason.
Yeah.
You
It's a
you
teamwork,
both get to hold up the trophy when you win the game. It's not me on the bike and you in the sidecar. That's not how.
And sometimes you meet someone and they should and could be the right person, but it's bad time in their life.
Sure.
They're just not, like, someone might have died. They just got a terrible breakup. Just got fired. Just these things that just really derail people. And those are like some of the most tragic things. You're like, damn, like, this person's great, but like just not the right time. Happens with friends, happens with all types of people. It's very sad. I hate that stuff. But it happens.
People come in for a season or a reason. There's all these little proverbs and
that's
cliches.
a good one. Season for a reason. Yeah. Or season or for a reason.
Yeah, they come in there for a season or for a reason.
What does that mean to you? A season.
So like there are people that you're going to have a very passionate, intense season with. Because you were supposed to learn a lesson. And in this season of your life, it coincided with this season of their life. And then you reach the next season and they want to go over here and you're like, oh, no, over here. And they're like, no, over here. It's like, I think this is where we get off then.
Yeah.
And you just got to be okay with it.
Yeah.
Because if you truly loved them, you're okay with them going on their path and their journey.
Sure.
Unless someone's wronged you, but that's a whole other story. But like being okay with letting go and the knowledge that like it's happening how it's supposed to happen. Which is just having faith in anything, really. Having faith in yourself, having faith in, God or universe or what have you. Like just having faith that like things are happening how they're supposed to happen, period. It's just the choice to believe, Like, oh, okay, well, that was really nice. And they're like, yeah, that was really nice. You're like, cool, I'm glad I met you. Glad I met you too. All right, well, best of luck. I hope this thing works out for you. I hope you find what you're looking for. If you think of me, reach out. If not, this was beautiful. This was a beautiful moment.
Mutual like separation is like one of the best things I've ever experienced when you're like, we're not, because whenever you hear of like breakups and they're just so bad, I've had a one or two and they're just one really, that's just like rough, really rough. You're like, why does it have to be so bad? Like, why can't it just be like things were just not good? We're not okay for each other. It's like, it's okay. It feels so much better when you can go about your life and like everything's peaceful and there's no like, I got to dodge this person. I can't see them. I got to block them on things. When you have to block someone, it has to happen sometimes. Yeah. It's terrible. I do not like it, but it has to happen sometimes. Yeah. Doom and gloom.
Yeah, man. The last thing I want to say is from the show called Afterlife. It's a Ricky Gervais show.
That's a good show.
Oh, man. And I think it's season 2. But I'm not going to get the quote exact, but the sentiment of the quote just goes back to what we talked about with like inspiring others, children, future, hope, all that kind of stuff. And it was like the world is right when old men plant trees, the shade of which they know they'll never see. And obviously you don't have to say old man, you could say just older person. But the idea being, if the generations that are aging, the ones that are aging out, if they're planting the seeds for a better world, a safer world, knowing that they're not going to see the fruits of their labor, but future generations will.
Yeah.
It will only progressively become a better place.
Those are the people I look up to the most.
Yes.
The ones that didn't know that streets will be named after them, and statues would be up, and a library is named after them, and a branch of a university, sports arena, like these types of things. Well, not sports arena. It's always like credit card, this or that. But you know what I mean?
Chase
Like
Bank Arena.
parts, yeah. Those people, there's a reason why they're named after them, because most of the time, barring a couple examples, those people did profound things, and they did it with a selfless act. Yeah. So society always recognizes that stuff. And like, we got to name this after that or this after that because what they did. Yeah, no, that's a beautiful line. I like that. It's very true.
Yeah.
It's very true. Find it. It's been said for a long time, find this place. Like, leave it better than you found it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the littlest thing your mom teaches, like, clean your room, leave it better than how you found it. It's like, it starts
And if
there.
you're just a little better every day.
Yeah, it starts there.
You know?
Make your bed, take a shower, clean your clothes. All these little things that your parents, hopefully good parents, tell you. You don't see it when you're a kid. Your world is so small. It's so like my backyard and my neighbors, my friends down the street. And then do you remember when you were like really young and you get in the car and you don't know directions
Where
yet?
you're going.
So you don't know how you got. You know you're going to Uncle So-and-so's house. That might be 30 minutes away, but you don't know how it happened. You just sit there in the car playing with something, reading something, I don't know, looking out the window, but you can't make sense of, you went on this highway and went left and went right and north, and we had to do all this stuff. You just kind of like exist. And when your parents teach you all these little things, it's like you start to realize that the importance of it. Like, be nice, apologize to your sibling, hug them, like things like that. You're like, wow, this stuff's important. You realize how important it is. Yeah. It's so simple at first. And I think that's why a lot of kids who don't have one of the other parents or broken homes, like why they can have so many internal issues, and it's not their fault, is because they don't get those little things. They don't get to like share your toy, apologize to that person, do this or that. They're just kind of like, they're just fending for themselves, and it always, sometimes it leads to really amazing people, usually a lot of musicians, artists, comics. A lot of comics come from rough places. Like, I gotta make people laugh because I'm dying inside,
Yep.
Very real.
Yeah. So whenever or wherever you're listening to this, hug someone today.
Hug someone. Tell someone you love them. Tell someone thank you. Always say please and thank you. Always say may I, because can I? It's like, sure, you can, but will I give it to you? If you ask me nicely, may
That's
I?
wisdom. That's wisdom.
I always
right
tell people, say may I? May I have this? You may. Here it is. Be polite. It goes miles.
there. Oh, yeah.
Say have a nice day. The person behind the counter, it's not their fault things are messed up. They don't own the business. It wasn't their idea. They're just trying to get by, just like you.
Yep. Trying their best.
Trying their best. And support music, support art.
Yes.
Go see not such big Hollywood movies, but independent ones. Go pay for things. Use what you can. Start your own thing. Start a DIY space. Start a business. Do something.
Take a chance.
Do what you love.
Yep.
And that's, well, you could end on the old, if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. That's an interesting statement because it's almost like there's a caveat to it. It's true, except you still have to treat it as work. Otherwise, how do you have like value and like giving someone a price for something? So it's a weird one.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I've done work, and sometimes what I do doesn't feel like work, but I still have to like get paid so I can keep doing it.
Correct.
It's a very strange.
Yeah.
It's a really strange thing. Yeah. It's funny, like we just started the podcast. We never really talked about you and like what you do.
That's true.
Not really at all.
Yeah, that's okay.
You're from Kenosha. You moved to LA. You play music. Tell everyone where they can find your music.
Yeah, you can find it on all the streaming platforms. It's going to be Claudio Parrone Jr. I'm sure the name will be in this description, so I'm not going to tell you how to spell it. You can figure it out.
Memorable
we're gonna
name.
Figure it out.
Memorable name.
Thank you.
And then some other things you do.
Yeah, so I'm releasing an album this year called Still Here.
Release date yet?
Releasing.
Is there a release date yet?
The end of June is what I'm hoping for.
End of June, okay.
So
keep your eyes out.
yeah. And then there will also be a movie accompanying it, but that probably won't be released until 2024.
How long's the movie?
It's a 30-minute film.
Nice.
Yeah,
it's a legit short film.
Yeah, we're doing. I did the premiere in December in Los Angeles, and then I'm actually this weekend doing an additional screening in Kenosha.
Whoa,
So-
that's cool.
Yeah, and the plan is to tour to about 5 cities and do a big experience in each city. Because I'm not calling this a show. I'm calling it the Still Here Experience.
That's cool.
Because I'm doing a movie screening, a concert. I'm providing food and drinks, and
You should do one in Chicago.
I know. Well, the plan that's the plan. That's one of the cities on the list.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I'll come up to, to that with a lot of people.
Yeah,
Let me
that'd
know.
be awesome.
So movie sometime next year.
Yep.
Album hopefully in late June. Anything else?
Not for the time being.
Not
No.
for the time being.
Chase your dreams.
Chase your dreams. Look up Claudio. Find him. Follow him. Encourage him. Support him. Go to LA. I can't wait to come to LA. That's
Dude,
gonna be a wild
gonna be sick.
experience. I'm coming with some equipment. We're gonna make some magic
Let's do
happen. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you for being here.
Good to see you.
I love you.
Love you,
I
man.
appreciate you.
Appreciate
this was
you.
a really good conversation.
Absolutely.
I laughed, almost cried, you almost died. You're still here.
We are still here.
All right. Take care. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Ciao.